My parents promoted my younger brother after I spent 10 years keeping all three of their restaurants alive. My father raised his glass, looked directly at me, and said, "Ryan handles pressure better. People listen to a man." Then Ryan ordered me to stop interfering, stop contacting suppliers, and stop fixing problems after my scheduled hours, so that Saturday, I followed his instructions. At exactly 5 o'clock, I clocked out and went home. At 5:07, downtown called. At 5:19, Westside called. By 7, all three locations were in crisis, and my phone showed 17 missed calls. Then my father opened one email, turned toward Ryan, and asked, "What exactly did you change?" For 10 years, Whitmore Grill had called me whenever something went wrong. Staffing gaps, supplier shortages, broken equipment, health inspections. I handled everything quietly. My family called that organization. The restaurants called it survival. When I joined after college, we had one struggling location. I built the scheduling system, negotiated supplier terms, and created emergency procedures. Years later, we had 3 restaurants. Frank still introduced Ryan as the natural leader. Ryan was charming with guests and confident in meetings, but he had never managed inventory, labor costs, or a Saturday emergency. He could smile because I was always behind him, solving problems before anyone noticed them. When the regional manager position opened, Frank asked me to prepare a presentation called Regional Operations Strategy. I worked late for 2 weeks. I thought I was finally presenting the plan that would earn my promotion. Instead, Frank invited everyone to a family meeting. Ryan stood beside my presentation with his name on the title slide. He delivered my strategy almost word for word. Only one thing had changed. My name was gone. After Ryan finished, Frank raised his glass. "Ryan will be our new regional manager." Then he looked directly at me and added, "Nora is invaluable behind the scenes, but men handle pressure better." Linda touched my arm and whispered, "Your brother needs this more than you do." Ryan thanked Frank, Linda, and the staff. He never mentioned me. Then everyone applauded the plan I had written for the job he received. The new organizational chart arrived that afternoon. My title had changed from Director of Operations to Administrative Support Lead. My salary stayed the same. My authority disappeared. I was expected to keep doing the work without making decisions. I asked Frank, "What exactly is my role now?" He answered, "Help Ryan settle in." Ryan interrupted, "No more overriding managers or contacting suppliers without me. You've been micromanaging." I asked him to put that in writing. Ryan sent the email before the day ended. It said I could not override his decisions, contact suppliers, or involve myself after scheduled hours unless he authorized it. I saved the message and replied with one word, "Understood." The next morning, Ryan removed my color-coded Saturday planning board. He laughed and said, "Restaurants don't run on sticky notes." That board tracked staff gaps, inventory shortages, and emergency transfers across all 3 locations. By Thursday, Marcus Bell called with a warning. Saturday's poultry delivery would arrive short because of a warehouse issue. I forwarded everything to Ryan. His reply came 2 minutes later. Handled. He had not called Marcus. The same weekend included a downtown concert, a food festival, and a wedding party at our flagship location. One manager was already out on medical leave. I prepared a full risk report. Ryan called it dramatic. I recommended transferring backup inventory before Saturday. Ryan refused. "Stop expecting things to go wrong," he said. Then he canceled the emergency stock request and told everyone future shortages required his personal approval. He also moved 2 experienced servers from downtown to flagship. The wedding party had important guests, and Ryan wanted the room to look impressive. Downtown was left dangerously understaffed during the concert rush. On Friday, Ryan disabled the reservation capacity limits. He said turning away bookings meant losing money. I warned him the flagship kitchen could not safely handle unlimited reservations. He smiled. "Pressure creates performance." Chef Andre found me near the walk-in freezer Saturday afternoon. "Are you staying late?" he asked. I told him Ryan had instructed me not to interfere. Andre looked toward the dining room and said, "Then tonight is going to hurt." At 4:30, the poultry delivery was still incomplete. Downtown had one dishwasher scheduled. Flagship bookings had exceeded capacity. Ryan walked past me smiling and said, "See? Everything is under control." At 4:58, I finished my final inventory note and logged out. I did not remove files, hide passwords, or cancel anything. I simply followed Ryan's written order and stopped working when my shift ended. At exactly 5, I clocked out. 7 minutes later, downtown called. The dishwasher had failed during the first concert rush. I watched the phone ring until it stopped. Then Westside called 12 minutes later. At 5:19, Westside called again. The kitchen had received only half its chicken order and was already running low on 2 best-selling dishes. Ryan had ignored Marcus's warning and approved no backup delivery. At 5:31, the delivery driver refused an emergency transfer between locations. Ryan had never approved the revised account terms. For 8 years, I handled those details before weekends. Now nobody had the authority to fix them. At 5:42, Flagship discovered duplicate reservations. 40 extra guests were arriving within the hour. Ryan had disabled the capacity controls because he called them unnecessary restrictions. Now the kitchen could not legally seat everyone. By 6, downtown had stacks of dirty dishes and too few servers. Westside was removing menu items. At Flagship, angry guests crowded the entrance while the wedding party arrived early. Every warning in my report was happening. At 6:15, Linda called from the family number. "Your brother is overwhelmed," she said. "Just talk him through it." I asked one question. "Am I the regional manager?" She went completely silent. Then Frank called. He did not apologize or ask politely. "Get in your car," he ordered. I reminded him Ryan had forbidden me from interfering. Frank snapped. "This is different." It was different because they finally needed me. I asked for written reinstatement, full decision authority, and compensation for emergency hours. Frank refused. He said families should not negotiate during a crisis. I answered, "Then Ryan should manage the crisis with the authority you gave him." Ryan's first voicemail said, "Call me." The second said, "This is an emergency." The third accused me of knowing everything would fail. He still could not admit that I had warned him in writing. At 7:05, Ryan left another message. "You set me up," he shouted. Then Chef Andre's voice sounded behind him. "No, she didn't. She sent you the report Tuesday and you ignored every page." After that, the calls stopped for 11 minutes. Then my father emailed every manager asking for Nora's emergency procedures. Elena replied first. Ryan removed the board, blocked us from calling her, and put the updated manual in storage. By closing time, downtown had shut early, Westside had refunded dozens of orders, and Flagship had comped an entire wedding table. Nothing was destroyed permanently, but one Saturday exposed every system Ryan had removed. Sunday morning, Frank called a family meeting. Ryan arrived angry and exhausted. Before anyone sat down, he pointed at me and said, "She knew this would happen. She wanted me to fail." I placed Ryan's email on the table. It clearly ordered me not to override decisions, contact suppliers, or work after hours without authorization. "I followed your instructions," I said. Ryan had no answer. Marcus joined by phone and forwarded 2 emails plus a voicemail warning about the poultry shortage. Ryan had opened the first message. He had answered none of them. The shortage had not been sudden. It had been ignored. Elena confirmed Ryan threatened managers with disciplinary action if they contacted me. Chef Andre explained the removed prep board, disabled reservation limits, and missing emergency binder. Every witness described the same pattern. Ryan rejected help before needing it. Then Frank opened Ryan's promotion presentation. A board member had questioned the labor efficiency model Ryan could not explain. The file metadata still listed me as creator. Ryan had changed only the title page and presented my strategy. I also found a calendar invitation from 3 months earlier. It was titled Ryan Regional Transition Lunch. The promotion had been promised before interviews opened. Frank had asked me to compete for a decision already made. Linda insisted Frank had controlled everything. Then I showed her own message. Give Ryan the title. Nora will complain, then fix everything like always. My mother had not stayed silent. She had counted on my loyalty. Frank finally admitted it. We knew you wouldn't let the restaurants suffer. I looked at both of them. That's why you thought you could hurt me safely. The room went quiet because the real betrayal was finally spoken aloud. Frank offered me the regional manager position immediately. Ryan would be retrained, my title restored, and everyone informed. Then Frank said, Saturday proved you're ready. I answered, no. Ryan proved I already was. I told Frank I would consider the offer after reviewing everything in writing. What I did not tell him was that I had already interviewed with another hospitality group. They wanted me to oversee 5 locations. The offer included a higher salary, full regional authority, and ownership of the operating systems I created. Nobody called my work administrative support. They called it the reason their expansion could succeed. I accepted that afternoon. When I informed my parents, Linda began crying. Frank said I was abandoning the family during its hardest moment. I reminded him they had already decided I was not leadership. I was simply respecting their decision. Ryan asked whether I would stay long enough to train him properly. I said every process was already documented in the red emergency binder he had thrown into storage. He wanted private lessons. I offered a scheduled handover. 2 senior managers submitted notices after Ryan blamed staff for Saturday. They had stayed because I protected schedules, stopped unpaid overtime, and handled problems fairly. Without those safeguards, loyalty disappeared faster than Frank expected. My final week, I restored no special access and answered no midnight rescue calls. I completed required handover documents during working hours. Each time Ryan panicked, I pointed him toward the systems he had once mocked. Frank eventually hired an experienced outside regional director. Ryan kept a smaller management role but lost final authority. For the first time, he had to learn operations without my invisible labor making him appear capable. Months later, I stood inside one of my new company's busiest restaurants on a packed Saturday. Every location followed the staffing plan, inventory alerts, and capacity limits I designed. The evening ran smoothly. My phone buzzed with a message from Linda. We finally understand how much you did. I read it once, then returned to the floor. Understanding mattered, but it arrived too late to purchase my loyalty again. My parents said men handled pressure better because Ryan had never faced pressure without me standing behind him. I did not destroy their restaurants. I simply stopped protecting them from the manager they chose over me.